NTX with your hosts, Bill Lawhn and John Mitcham. I'd like to welcome John back from vacation. John, did you guys have a good trip?
It was great, man. It was really good. I needed it.
It's good to have you back in the fold. What do you got for us today, man? Let's get us started here. I know you probably have a word from our sponsor too.
Yes, sir. Today's show is brought to you by Ensemble Co-working, Fort Worth's hub for private offices, co-working, meeting space, and virtual mail. Find your perfect workspace at ensemblecoworking.com.
All right, man. It's a good start here. What do you have for us here?
So I wanted to jump into some quick hitters real quick. Um, First of all, before we get into the sports, uh, prayers to our friends and family in Central Texas, Kerrville. Um, Death tolls over 100. There's still, I think it's upwards of 60, 70 people missing, if not more. It's a real tragedy. Thoughts and prayers to all of our friends, family out in Kerrville. We love you, um, and stay strong. Um, that being said, I heard some stuff on Rafael Devers. He's he's apparently being a turd in the punch bowl still. Um, Mr. Mr. Coach Will Clark has come out and said essentially he's not showing up and doing his fielding work.
Just for some context, John, just for the folks out there that don't know who Will Clark might be, could you give us a little bit of background on who that might be?
Will Clark is, for lack of better terms, a crotchety old man. Will Clark was a he was a he was a first baseman. He played in the mid '80s, um, and I forget the teams that he played for, but he was a first baseman. He's old school, clearly, because he does not like um, the way that Devers is not being a team player. So, from what I've heard, he has missed 3 fielding practices that he was supposed to show up to work first base drills because he wasn't good enough to play third base in Boston after they acquired O'Breggy, and they got tired of his attitude and his bullshit, so they traded him to San Francisco, and now San Francisco is dealing with the same issues. So it sounds like Mr. Devers, for as great as a hitter as he can be at times, he is a real ass about stuff. Um,
I like Rafael Devers as a player, as you can well see, and I really haven't hid this fact. I am a very big Red Sox fan.
sure.
Rafael Devers, they paid him a large contract to be probably, I guess you would consider the next face of the franchise.
Yeah.
So, like I said, they signed him to that big contract to consider him the face of the franchise.
Yeah.
And they asked him to move when they signed Bregman. Bregman's great player coming in. I understand you don't want to move, but if you see that it's going to be better for the team, they're paying you so much money. Maybe they didn't communicate with him well. Is the only thing that I can think of. Maybe he's just a pain in the butt. You know, I really can't say. I don't know anything. I don't know him at all, obviously, but when you pay a player that much, you expect him to kind of be willing to say, what can I do to help the team? He hasn't. He has not been willing to help the team. So Boston said, you know what, we're not gonna keep doing this. We're gonna get rid of you. Traded him to San Francisco, and when he got to San Francisco, he was very obvious. He was very, very blatantly said, "Oh, I'll play wherever they need me to play." I don't know if it was just kind of being a little passive aggressive towards the Red Sox, but
Yeah, it's with a guy like Devers, he knows he's talented. He knows that they can't just dump him, right? So this is your typical big time star being a diva, and that's the worst part about professional sports. There are a lot of guys that aren't like that, but there are just as many, if not more, guys that are like that. That you know that
I agree. I will say I will give him maybe one. I may give Devers one out here, but still doesn't completely excuse because he apparently he blew Clark off like 3 times,
yeah yeah
and they wanted him. They wanted him to go over, and they were going to have him basically take ground balls, which is in San Francisco, which is right next to the visitors' dugout, which would have been in front of the Boston media, which had just said, "No, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to play there for you guys."
yeah
So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm maybe trying to give him an out there. I'm trying to look at this from all angles, but it's disappointing. They're as you well know, there are a lot of diva athletes, and the more these kids they're told all the way up
Yeah.
how wonderful they are and how amazing they are, and they're things. A lot of things are given to them.
Sure.
You see a real difference with the people that with the kids that were brought up right or were just were taught correctly as far as coaching. Like, hey, we're not going to hand anything to you. You're going to have to work every bit of it.
Yeah.
And listen, I know I know everybody's going to say Homer this and Homer that. Yes, I'm a Longhorn fan, but the fact is, Arch Manning has done things the right way. He could have gone in and started as a freshman in probably the majority of programs in this country. Even when Quinn Ewers came back after his freshman year, Arch could have gone. He stayed because he wanted to be the quarterback at the University of Texas.
Yep.
And he could leave after this year. I don't know that he will, barring maybe Arch wins a Heisman, Texas wins a national championship. Maybe he's like, okay, I've accomplished this. Maybe I'm done. And he doesn't need the money. He didn't take any of the NIL money that he signed. But the fact is, he's not asking to be handed anything. He's willing to work for it, despite everybody knows the last name.
Yeah, he's football royalty
without a doubt
in the United States.
Yeah,
and
without a doubt.
He is as a DFW sports fan, we are not used to selfish athletes. Dirk Nowitzki was the opposite of a selfish athlete. He was a team first player. He didn't necessarily play defense, but he made up for it in effort.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I remember in the championship run in 2011, I think he missed like 4 free throws the entire playoff. Like, I'm not talking about just a series. I'm talking about the entire playoffs. Like, he shot, and I could be wrong on that number, but I know he shot like over 90% from the free throw line. Oh my God. Amazing.
There's a stat in basketball that very few people have ever attained where it's the 50, 40, 90 club. Mm-hmm. And Dirk did it a couple of times. Steve Nash did it a few times. And there were other players that did it, but not a ton. But what I mean by that, the 50% field goal percentage from the floor, 40% from three, and 90% from the line. So
old Swish 41. Man.
Yeah, we have had some very selfless athletes here. We have obviously we've had our we've had our share of divas. Michael Irvin was a phenomenal player, but T.O. was yeah. Let's not we first and foremost T.O. We've had a few others. Ray John Rondo just decided to just quit in the middle of the game and go sit on the sidelines by the sports table and refuse to go in.
But like you prime example, Harrison Barnes. He was getting traded. He finished playing the game
100%
in the middle of that's high effort, high character guys. That's not something you teach. That's something that's instilled in you either at home with your parents or a young coach or when you're young, a coach that you look up to. So anyways, I didn't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but let's jump into some Cowboys talk. What do you say, Bill?
I like it. What do you got?
So to lead it off, Kevontae Turpin, Funky Town's finest.
Oh well, the off season tends to get some guys. That's when Dallas usually has at least one of these a year. Something similar to this, maybe not exactly this, but something similar to this.
Tis upon us once again.
Yeah, that dreaded complete off season. They're done with OTAs, and they won't be back together again until training camp.
But you know what's terrible about this?
What?
He got pulled over, I believe, for speeding. Yeah. He had marijuana on him.
Yeah,
and he had a gun on him.
That's even better.
So, dumbass is all I got to say.
Oh no, I'm not.
This is after he signed his extension.
Well, at least he did that first, because
Oh my
now he's got
God.
his money.
Now he's untouchable. So because that's what our boy Jerry Jones does.
Oh, the ultimate enabler.
Yeah. That's enough about idiot ass. Hey,
Well,
the worst part is, you we report to training camp in what, a little over 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks, somewhere
yeah,
around there.
it's not a
The
lot.
22nd.
Oh,
So they're reporting to Oxnard, and he's going to have that's the first question he's going to be asked during the media days. It's just unfathomable.
yeah.
Jaden Blue, man. I
My
saw
man.
a workout video of him. Now
I had seen this.
I'm not gonna toot the Homer horn. It's something I saw, totally unrelated to Texas. It's just the fact that Jaden Blue went to
Well,
Texas.
I mean, you kind of have to throw them up when you see good things happening for your guys.
Love it.
Yep. Yep.
There are comparisons,
Ooh,
right?
the dreaded comparisons.
Comparisons of Jaden Blue to a one Alvin Kamara. Just the way that he plays the game, the threat he can be out of the backfield. I said outfield. He is a guy that has got home run ability out of the backfield.
Oh, most definitely.
That's where his bread was buttered at the University of Texas. He basically won them the A&M game. He was a significant contributor, and he was the most important thing about it, Bill, is
Yeah.
most running backs, when you get to the NFL,
Yeah.
you've been used and abused. He's got a lot of tread on those tires.
Well, that was one good thing about coming from Texas is he hasn't had to be the bell cow there. It's always been, he had Bijan there initially. He had C.J. Baxter. C.J. Baxter gets hurt, but he still goes into a rotation with Gibson
Yep.
and Brooks was there too, but Brooks got hurt. He goes into a rotation with 2 or 3 backs, and so he doesn't have a ton of. The only knock on this kid was the fact that fumble. He couldn't hold on to the ball. You get him in space. You get him in space. He's a
Oh,
nightmare. He's
Tim McGraw would be pissed, wouldn't he? He'd be duct taping that ball to his hands, man. I tell you,
nice Friday Night Lights reference. I love it. I love it.
He is one of those guys that, and I love the kid to death, right? I think without the fumbles and turnovers, they beat Washington a few years ago. I think it was the Alamo Bowl that we lost.
Yeah,
There were a couple
probably.
fumbles
Yeah,
that he was responsible for. One was down the field. He was making plays, and he just boop, like it was a greased pig that he was carrying.
I love it. I love it.
The guy is lightning.
Yeah, agreed.
And he is a super phenomenal athlete. He's actually one of the first guys that opted out of his senior year
Yeah.
To go to Texas and to train and get ready.
Yeah.
And he was a guy, he's one of the guys that gets, Coach Tashard Choice a lot of credit.
Oh yeah. I do believe that. I do believe that they miss him. Texas has missed on a couple of backs this recruiting season so far. Granted, it's far from over, but
Oh, yeah.
I mean, missing Tashard Choice, it hurts. He left.
Oh, yeah.
For those that don't know, he left to go become the running backs coach for the Detroit Lions. Which congratulations to him.
And who is the running back there?
You've got 2 really, really good running backs. One, David Montgomery, and of course, one of my personal favorites, who was a real star for me in fantasy this year. One of the few bright spots on my team, Jahmyr Gibbs. He gives you some of the Reggie Bush vibes.
Did you know that when Jahmyr Gibbs was at Georgia Tech, he was recruited by one Tashard Choice?
Oh, I do know that actually, because he went to Tashard Choice, who is a Georgia Tech alum. He was a coach there. He got Jahmyr Gibbs there. He left. Jahmyr Gibbs left and went to Alabama. Had a good little career there, and he's just gone to the pros and just lit it up. And he's if you're talking about if he was the main back there, the complete feature back. I mean, he would be blowing stuff away, but the fact is, it's going to keep him fresher longer. He's going to last longer in this league because he's got such a good running mate. He's there's the thunder and lightning, and he's the lightning in that, with Montgomery being such a pounder, and just Detroit is going to. That's one of the things they want to do. They want to completely run the ball down your throat.
Yeah.
I like Detroit, but I think they might suffer a little bit. They lost one of their best starting offensive linemen retired, and then they're both
Yeah.
their coordinators
Oh
left.
yeah,
House.
that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt. Now the good thing is he's been there long enough that the proof is in the pudding,
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and Dan Campbell has created a program there, a program
Yeah,
for lack
program,
of better terms,
program. Yep,
and he knows how to A, coach football players, and
yep,
B, get the most out of people.
yeah.
So the attitude has been instilled in that organization.
Love
I
it.
think they're going to fall off a little bit offensively,
Mm-hmm.
but defensively, you can say the same thing. Replacing both your offensive and defensive coordinators
Yep.
is tough, but they kept the core of that offense together.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
And Goff is not terrible,
Mm-mm.
but he had a pretty good season last year. So let's see what Goff can do.
Okay.
Next, Dak Prescott and George Pickens. Their chemistry, from everything that I've heard and seen, is pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Dak, I believe he's been cleared
Yeah.
from the hamstring injury that hurt him last year and finished his season.
Mm.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, no, it's not our year. I'm not going to go there, even though every Cowboys fan or every Cowboy
Sheep.
hater,
Cowboy sheep. Yeah. Oh yeah.
says, "Oh, is this your year?" No, it's not our year. I think, and I'm going to put this out there for everyone to hear. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Patty Mahomes is on the revenge tour this year.
Ooh.
I think he's going scorched earth.
Oh.
That's my opinion.
Speaking of that, even though according to one of their writers there in Kansas City that he's too fat, he says
I
he's
used to be fat too.
says he's his guy, but he's too fat.
Yeah, he's too fat.
It's really
Fat has look at Jared Lorenzen. He was fat, but he slung the ball all over the field. The hefty lefty.
It's all I'm going to say is if being fat, if that's I don't think that's been a real hindrance to Pat. Probably just gives him a little extra body armor.
Mm-hmm.
But it really hasn't affected him at this point. He's got 3 Super Bowl wins. He's been to the Super Bowl 2 or 3 other times. So
He's doing pretty good.
be fat if you need to, Patty.
Yeah.
I don't begrudge it because trust me, I love a good Whataburger. He got Whataburger to Kansas City, so he's a man of the people, clearly.
Yeah. So I think Pickens and Dak are gonna. The only problem you're gonna have there is, when the going gets tough, the targets between CD and George Pickens. Because they can both kind of be divas when it comes to that. Now, I think Pickens was upset being in Pittsburgh because they're not. They hired Arthur Smith.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but that's the Pittsburgh mentality. They're going to run the ball 3 times and punt, I guess is what they wanted to do. But they hired him. They had an over-the-hill Russell Wilson, and it was just a bad situation. I don't think he wanted to be there anymore. I think he made that clear, and Pittsburgh was ready for him to go. I think you saw all the proof in what was going to happen in their future when they traded for DK Metcalf and then extended him. You pretty much know that he wasn't coming back. So it was a move that helped both the Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
So the move made a lot of sense. There's one rumor that I saw, and it's been reported false by a couple of media pundits. There was a rumor that Dallas was interested in trading for Travis Etienne. Did you see that?
I did not. I guess I missed that one. I was kind of out of the loop a little bit this weekend as well, so I didn't see that one at all.
It was reported that they were interested in trading for one Travis Etienne playing out in Duval. I don't think it's going to happen unless the wheels fall off at Jacksonville and they're just trying to dump people.
Yeah.
He's going to play out his contract in Jacksonville.
He did lose his starting job, but I mean, he still can be a valuable part of that team because
Liam Cohen's going to use him the right way.
I think so.
He's probably got an idea for him.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's going to happen unless the wheels fall off. But that being said, old Shoddy's bread and butter is running the football.
Indeed it is, sir. Indeed it is. He
And
learned it. He learned it from his dad.
he did.
Little
He
Marty
did.
Ball.
Oh, Marty. God
Marty.
love him. Great
He.
man. Good coach.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He
Definitely.
did a lot of winning.
Oh yeah.
And, he also did a lot of losing when it mattered. But
Well,
hopefully,
yeah.
with the way that Mr. Shoddy has done this, he's waited to the right time to take his first head coaching job. And, he's I think Dallas made the right move. They were comfortable with him.
Yeah. I agree.
I was not crazy about the deal at first.
Nope.
But when you looked at who was out there and available, I really didn't want Belichick. I'm going to be honest with you.
No.
I think he's a fossil. I think he's a dinosaur. He's crotchety. We don't need another Bill Parcells.
Well, and I don't know that he's running. I don't know, and no offense to him.
Don't you do it. Don't you say it.
I mean, Bill's what, in his 70s? In his 70s now, and he, for those who don't know, he's either dating or engaged to a young lady who's, I believe, 26. And that it seems like an odd pairing. And all the stuff that I'm hearing coming out of Chapel Hill when he's at University of North Carolina now, is that maybe she's in charge of more than we think she is.
Well, I guess we'll find out when that season starts, and if the wheels fall off of that thing, pretty quickly, not good.
Yeah.
I think you might be right. I think Bill. Here's the thing, Bill. If I were a single man and I'm 36, I'm not dating a 26-year-old.
No,
hell no. I don't want anything to do with that.
I mean, he could if this happens, if it falls apart here, he could go full Coach O. As famously Ed Orgeron won a national championship with a loaded LSU team: Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, just a monster of a team. Won a championship and then kind of just started bringing his girlfriends and stuff to practice the next season, and basically just started kind of mailing it in. And now Ed's just out there living his best life, and just YOLOing it up. But if I don't think that's going to happen, honestly, with Belichick. I think he's got too many other good people around him, folks that have been around the game a long time. But I don't have really. I don't have high hopes for them. I don't really have expectations for them, period, because I'm interested to see what happens with him, but I most likely will not be locked in on UNC football.
I definitely won't, unless they're playing Clemson, because I think Clemson's defensive line is going to bully everyone in the ACC. That's just my opinion.
Clemson could be disgusting this year. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the country, who just happens to be one Cade Klubnik, who just happens to be from Austin. But the kid is a wildly talented quarterback, both with his arms and his legs. He's going to be a top 5 to 10 pick when he does decide to come out, possibly number 1, depending on what year he comes out.
Yep.
But you mentioned Clemson; they're going to be gross this year. It's just disgusting.
I know we're getting ready to go to our break, but I think that the Clayton Adams and the Clayton Adams hire.
The offensive line coach.
He's going to work well with what Shoddy wants to do, which is run the ball. He gets the most out of what he's got. We've got a young offensive line. His goal in this whole deal is to Connor Riley is the offensive line coach from Kansas State that we hired.
Nice.
He's the guy that basically propelled North Dakota State to all those championships while Leipold was there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say Leipold. Leipold's the coach at
Kansas. He's at Kansas.
At Kansas, the Kansas State. I can't think of his name right now, but he's the reason that they ran the ball so well. And that their identity, his identity is physical, aggressive, emphasis on strong run game to complement the pass game. That's why I think they went with Jadon Blue. He's a change of pace back. They can do a lot with that. And I think the offense is going to be okay. The defense is going to be okay. It's just a matter of quarterback play, in my opinion, for Dallas.
Well,
If he can stay healthy, you got a shot, because most people don't realize that Dak Prescott is the best deep ball thrower in the NFL. I know
oh,
people don't like to admit it. It's true. Statistics don't lie.
well,
He throws a pretty good deep ball when he's healthy. That's the problem the last 4 or 5 years.
I'll say this. But it's going to be. You described Marty Schottenheimer won a lot of games, but didn't win when it counted. Sounds like that's a classic Cowboys mo. So if that's Brian Schottenheimer, he's going to be just right on course with what his dad does, right in line with what the franchise usually does. But like I said, they're gonna have their money. The fans are gonna stay. Just they're gonna be bought in. I will tell you this: so if Dallas doesn't start 7-3, they have almost zero chance to make the playoffs, because they go through a stretch later in the season.
They've got a murderer's row.
Oh, it's going to be disgusting. 7-3. If they can figure out, it would be 8-2, and I say they're probably going to go 3-4 in that last stretch of games.
Yeah.
If they can go 4-3, then there's a chance. But it's like you said, it's going to revolve around health with Dak Prescott. The Cooper Rush isn't here anymore to sign with Baltimore. We have a young guy in here, Joe Milton, who is pretty good. And we'll get back to that in a minute.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820. Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. That's 800-240-4587.
Welcome back. Just a reminder, today's show is brought to you by Ensemble Co-working, Fort Worth's hub for private offices, co-working, meeting space, and virtual mail. Find your perfect office space or workspace at ensemblecoworking.com. All right, Bill. So that was a Cowboys talk. You want to jump into some a little bit of, or touch on Cooper Flag and the Dallas Mavericks a little bit?
Yeah, I won't spend a lot of time on this because we got a lot of other MLB stuff that we want to get into. But I've noticed that everybody's wildly excited the fact is, Cooper Flag, the Mavericks' number one draft pick, the number one draft pick of the entire NBA, is going to the Mavericks' summer league starts tomorrow night. Their summer league schedule starts tomorrow night. Cooper Flag will be on the court. And it's apparently a really hot ticket because it's not just going to be Cooper Flag. It's going to be the immortal Bronny James, son of the legendary LeBron James, who is, by all accounts, is not that great.
What?
He's not going to be a superstar. But apparently, this is such a hot ticket. It's become the most expensive summer league game in NBA history.
Wow.
And then all these games happen at the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas, where the UNLV Running Rebels play their home games.
Yep.
But the tickets to get into this, the general admission is $83. I'm not sure what it is normally, but I guarantee it's probably not $83. But this is just getting crazy because the lower bowl seats, John, are going for $643
for a freaking summer league game.
I'm aware of this. That's a finals game, maybe.
Oh my god!
But and then you if you've got money like that, then courtside you can get courtside for a little over $2,500. But that's something that most of us don't have just to go to a basketball game.
Absolutely not.
But somebody's going to pay it. But I'm kind of eager to see where Flag's going. But it's. They're not going to play him at point, but Jason Kidd said something about making him uncomfortable, and so we're going to put the ball in his hands a little bit and see what he can do, see how he can operate the offense. And, if you want to throw him out there every now and then at point guard, have him handle the ball, that would be a super jumbo lineup with him at point guard, and you roll one of your other, wings or bigs off, probably not a big, but another wing off the bench. And you have a chance to just have an incredibly large lineup, athletic, can defend.
Absolutely.
It would be absolutely just filthy. And like I said, I think you get Kyrie back for a decent amount this year. You get him going by the postseason, and I think you could have, as long as the Mavs can hang in there. I mean, going to the playoffs, that is a deep loaded team. It is. It could be scary. Like I said, I didn't want to spend too much time on it, but I am eager to see what Flag does tomorrow night. I will be watching, and we will talk a little bit about that. They should probably have at least a couple of games between the time we have this show and the next show. But I want to see where it goes.
Absolutely.
You want to get into baseball, John? You want to get a little bit?
Oh yeah.
A little bit of draft talk since that's just around the corner for the major leagues.
We are in the America's pastime season.
Since the other three sports are all on sabbatical, if you will, it's all their off season.
Yeah.
So Major League Baseball has taken center stage, and one of the first year player draft is coming up, and I think John's got a little bit of a scout. You got a little scouting report on some of these players.
I do. I got on and I looked at some of the mocks, and the best one that I saw that made sense was CBS's. I'm going to rattle off the top 10 projected picks, and I agree with most of these, with the exception of the Pirates pick that they had on here. The original number one pick was not who they have here, and I think we all know who the original number one pick was. It was one Mr. Ethan Holiday.
Son of
Matt,
longtime Major League veteran Matt Holliday, and brother of also former number one pick Jackson Holliday, who's now the second baseman for the Baltimore Orioles,
who are struggling mightily, but he's a good player.
Very good.
So they've got the here's the draft order for those of you that don't know it. Number one, the Nationals, the Angels are at number 2, Mariners 3, Rockies 4, Cardinals 5, Pirates 6, Marlins 7, Blue Jays 8, and the Reds 9, and the White Sox rounding out the top 10. So they have Mr. Cade Anderson, the lefty from LSU, who pitched phenomenally during the College World Series when it mattered. My hunch, if he gets drafted by the Nationals, he's probably going to be in the majors before the All-Star break his rookie year if he doesn't make the opening day roster.
You're talking about next year.
Next year.
Yeah.
He is going to be there in the 2026 season.
Talented kid,
super talented. Kid's fantastic, and we know what Coach Jay Johnson does at LSU. He breeds baseball players and wins championships.
And I don't know. Just real quick, if he ends up there, if he hits, then you're going to have a nice little starting trio there in Washington for them to build around with. Mackenzie Gore, I believe he's an All-Star this year. Did he make the All-Star team?
I believe so. Yeah.
But either way, he's a very talented pitcher. You add Anderson to that, and I know there's one other guy, and like I said,
they've got another lefty there too. I forget his name, but he's now I will say about this mock draft, it's very, very, very pitcher heavy. In the top 10, they've got 4 position players. The rest of them are pitchers. So that's the Nats. They've got the Angels, who just got thumped last night by our beloved Rangers, 13-1. It looked like they were batting with tennis rackets last night. So the good guys won. The Angels, they have taking Mr. Liam Doyle, another lefty out of Tennessee. He struck out 164 batters in 95 2/3 innings. That's elite. That's pretty good.
He's incredible. He's an incredibly talented kid, which that's what they do at Tennessee. They breed power pitchers and high draft picks.
They do, and they got the right coach there to do it.
Tony Vitello he's a little bit of a controversial figure, but he is proven to be a really good recruiter and a really good baseball coach.
He is very, very good at both of those things. He's a former member of Coach Schlossnagel's staff too, correct?
That I'm not 100% certain of, but it would not surprise me. Jim Schlossnagel. It's really easy for me to say. The UT coach, he's a heck of a coach, man. And Schlossnagel, he is lucky in a sense that he doesn't have to be the man replacing the man. He came in and replacing David Pierce, who was good. He's a good coach, but he was kind of underwhelming in his time on the 40 acres. But I mean, he came in, and you're having to replace, Augie Garrido, and it's not easy following a legend. You don't want to. They always say you don't want to be the guy that follows the guy.
Yeah.
So, Schloss, they burned a lot of people at A&M because coming off a College World Series appearance, and Texas kind of stole their coach. A&M started the season #1 and then became the first team to start #1 and not even make the turn in the NCAA tournament.
Broke records, just like their softball team.
That really hurt my heart. It really hurt my heart. I'm being facetious.
I know 100%.
Anyway.
My favorite thing to do is to hate watch the Aggies.
Well, I didn't mean to cut into you.
No,
Go ahead
good.
and give me some more on that draft.
So the third guy, we've got 3 straight left-handers coming off the board. Jamie Arnold, Florida State's pitcher. He's got the best fastball in the country. He had an 8-2 record, 2.98 ERA in 84 2/3 innings. He has 119 Ks, so he's pretty good himself. Then the first position player comes off the board according to CBS's mock. We have one Mr. Ethan Holiday out of Stillwater, Oklahoma. He was the #1 pick until Anderson's late season eruption. And he was good all season, but he really stood out because he was in front of everybody that was watching the College World Series.
100%.
So I think you and I talked about this next kid that they have coming off the board, Mr. Eli Willits out of Fort Cobb Broxton High School in Oklahoma.
That's an area that I know well. I lived in that area as a kid. We played sports against Fort Cobb. Back then it was just Fort Cobb, but it's a tiny town, and so they merged with Broxton. So, but this kid, he's been on my radar for a little while. He's a super talented kid. I think he's got a chance to be a really special pro. And he's the top 5 pick. Most likely, he's probably going to sign. I
Yeah.
think he'll be able to get contract done. Who did you have picking him?
The Cardinals. That's a good spot for him.
Oh my gosh, dude! As far as player development, dude, they're easily top 3 to 5 every year developing, especially the position players. The pitchers that they have, a lot of times they come out of nowhere. You just like, oh look, they're really good, but they're really good at developing players. And I think Willits has a chance.
The centerpiece for the Devers trade. He came out of St. Louis.
But yeah,
So
the thing is, you look at their player development. Though. I mean, Albert Pujols, when they signed him, he was a nobody, and you look at this guy. This guy's turned into a Hall of Famer. They develop players like nobody's business, and
absolutely.
And so, like I said, I know the area that the Willits kid comes from, so that was kind of a little bit close to my heart there, and I just thought I would bring that up. And thank you for throwing that at me. I appreciate that.
He's known for well-rounded game and high baseball IQ. So
sounds like a Cardinal already.
So funny, interesting stat that I found on them. This is going to be St. Louis's highest pick since 1998.
It's because they're good every
pick number
year.
5. Do you know who that was?
That would be one J.D. Drew, outfielder from Florida State. He got drafted the year before, but he didn't sign, so he went back into the draft. Cardinals picked him, and he had a handful of good years. This was prime baseball for me. Late 90s.
I couldn't fool you
early
with that
2000s.
one. That one was too easy.
Yeah, no. J.D. Drew was a very talented player. He didn't really live up to what they thought he was going to be, but he did have a handful of good seasons with the Cardinals and played in the majors for a few other teams too. But yeah, no, that one you're gonna have a little trouble sneaking out past him because that was primetime baseball.
Well, going back on the Ethan Holiday, I think even if there's a pitcher on the board, they're going to take Ethan Holiday because the connection to
and if he lasts to 5, I mean, Ethan Holiday to the Cardinals would be outstanding. His dad did. He did play in St. Louis for a little while towards the end of his career. So he's a very popular figure there too. And if Ethan Holiday is sitting there at 5, of course, I think that's going to be a steal. I think the thing is he's a lot different than his brother. His brother's smaller, more compact. This kid is built more like dad. He's like 6'4", 210, big kid. Probably going to end up long term. I think probably at third base, but his bat is plenty good to carry that position.
So at number 6, we've got another pitcher coming off the board. This is a high school kid. Name is Seth Hernandez out of Corona High School in California. I don't agree with this pick for the Pirates. They've got pitching there. What they need is offense. But at this point in the draft, if Holiday's off the board and Willits is off the board, you got to go with BPA.
I agree.
You add to that already tremendous pitching staff, and keep going. And you list all the players that and most of that's because they're always picking in the top of the draft, but they always get it right when it comes to the pitcher they're taking.
Well, and the thing is, you're talking about there. If it doesn't matter what position he plays. If it's a high school kid, by the time that high school kid gets there, very likely Paul Skeens won't be there.
Yeah.
So being a high school pitcher,
he's going.
If you're
he's
trying
going
to
the Dodgers or the Yankees in 5 or 6 years, is what you're saying. So I mean,
if you're trying to get somebody that's on his timeline, then you're gonna draft a college guy. Now, if you're gonna get somebody that may eventually you're not gonna replace the guy because he's filthy, but I mean, then you just kind of prepare for the future because Pittsburgh is never going to spend money, and that you can't say that you can't win as a small market team. I mean, Tampa's proved that year over year. The A's did it. They don't necessarily do it so much anymore, but they used to do it year over year.
Absolutely.
Because it's player development. You have these guys before you have to pay them. Tampa made shrewd moves. They actually traded Chris Archer to the Pirates some years ago. He was a little past his prime. They got one Tyler Glass now who became just he was
doing
a monster
phenomenally for the freaking Dodgers.
Yeah, and he ended up going. Of course, once he had a couple of good seasons. Tampa. He ended up going to the Dodgers and doing well there. Except he can't stay healthy either. But when he's on the mound, he's just about as
He's
disgusting as
great.
there is.
Yeah. So I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit here because we love talking. We love talking baseball. So the next guy,
100%.
would be one Billy Carlson, who is projected to go to the Marlins, and he's a shortstop. He also is from Corona High School in California.
Oh, another California Corona High School.
So this would be the first time that teammates from high school have been taken in the first round in the same draft since Lucas Giolito and Max Fried in 2012.
Yep.
So
both those guys
turned out all right. I'd say. The next guy is going to be a little sweet for Bill. Bill, being a former catcher himself, Mr. Ike Irish out of Auburn. He had a pretty good season. He has quite a bit of pop in that bat. I think he can get more out of it. You and I talked a little bit about this earlier. I don't know if he stays at catcher. He's probably going to transition to the outfield or maybe first base, depending on what they need. But his numbers: 19 home runs, 58 RBIs, 364 batting average, and a 710 slugging. That's pretty good.
That'll play in right field or first
Absolutely,
base.
100%.
Traditional power positions that'll play in. I would love them to have a franchise cornerstone. I'm a big fan of Jonah Heim, but Jonah's not going to last forever, and you need a little bit more of the position. Ike Irish is by no means the top, pure catcher in this draft. Those guys are going to be further down the line, but overall offense. I mean, you got somebody that, and he shouldn't take a long time to get to the big leagues. And even if you come up and have him play a corner spot, corner outfield, corner infield, and maybe catch occasionally, let him work on his defense, I think it would be a quality pick. I'm just gonna let that go. But I would love to see him if there was a way for him to fall to Texas, which I don't know if that's going to happen, but I would love to see him fall down to us.
Next guy is Mr. Gage Woods, pitcher out of Arkansas. He's the guy that threw the 19K no hitter.
That was incredible.
He's got off the charts velo, spin, movement. Because of that kind of stuff and his performance in the College World Series, he's got a bit of a checkered injury history. So because of that, that spin rate and that velo and the movement that he's got on those pitches, they might be willing to overlook that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they're thinking with this pick. The last prospect in the top 10 for the White Sox is Tyler Breckner out of UC Santa Barbara.
I got you.
He was projected to be he was in the running for the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
He had an up and down year. He's got the best slider in the draft. It was a bit hit or miss this year. He had high moments and low moments at UCSB, but he's a good player. So I touched on a couple other guys. Some of the bigger names, and then I touched on the Texas Rangers too, and then we can move on from here.
Okay.
It's got the Rangers taking shortstop JoJo Parker out of Purvis, Mississippi High School. He doesn't have great tools, but they're saying he's the best pure hitter in the draft as a high school kid.
Wouldn't be upset.
So I would not be upset at that. I also would not be upset, like you said, with Mr. Ike Irish. I would take him in a heartbeat. I'm a firm believer you can't have too many catchers, and because they were saying that they would take Ike Irish that high because pitchers are a scarcity in the majors, and if you see a good one that you like, you want to take them because if they develop, they'll play a long time. Mr. Cal Raleigh, we'll talk about that later. And then they've got at number 15, they've got the Boston Red Sox taking Jace Lavalette.
Oh, our old friend from Texas A&M. Super talented kid, but
he's projected to be a top 5 pick. He slid a little bit. I don't know if that. I don't think he was as good as he was last year by any means, but he's still a damn good baseball player. I wouldn't mind having him as a Rangers fan. he needs a little bit of work, right? But he's a damn good baseball player,
Agreed.
damn good outfielder.
Agreed.
And then the last guy that I have on here is Mr. Wahiwa Aloy,
Oh, yeah.
shortstop out of Arkansas.
Yep.
He actually won the Golden Spikes Award this year. He is he's just known for raw power. He made a boneheaded play against LSU that allowed them to win that game and advance. But felt bad for the kid. It's heartbreaking. He had a brother that played at Arkansas as well. Great kid, great player, great family from everything that I've read and seen about it.
Yeah.
Wish the kid nothing but success. He is projected to go 17. Reminder, the Dodgers, Mets, and Yankees all have their picks moved back 10 spots because of the CBT penalties, which is being over way over your budget. So I also had a quick college update for you that I caught this late. Being a Texas fan, I got to throw this in there. Update, right-handed pitcher Ruger Riojas, Max Grubber, and Luke Harrison have all opted out of the Major League Draft.
Yes.
So they are coming back to Texas. So that gives us another lefty
Yes.
and two righties that will help immensely.
Necessary.
So
Excellent.
that's all I got for the draft.
I was going to touch on some Rangers stuff, but since we're running short on time, we're just going to kind of hit them real quick, and then we're going to go over some of the awards races. They had a big 13-1 win last night. They're still setting 3.5 back of the last wild card. You're going to have one All-Star representative. As of right now, you have one. You may have someone bows out because of injury. Jacob deGrom, he's having a career resurgence. He's been very well this year, and he deserves to be there. Nathan Eovaldi, I know he missed some time with the injury, but you just look at his stats, and he came back last night, pitched 6 easy innings, but we'll see. I want to get into these. I want to get into the awards races in the American League. You've got two guys for the MVP award, and there's really nobody else. It's going to come down to either Aaron Judge, who is just an absolute beast of a player and of a human, but and you've got Cal Raleigh, the catcher for the Mariners, who just broke a 26-year-old Mariner record for most home runs before the All-Star break. The previous record was by some guy named Ken Griffey Jr. Pretty good player. Yeah, pretty good player. But Cal Raleigh hit his 36 last night, and while his batting average and some of the other numbers aren't that great, his slugging is incredible. It's second to Judge's. He's leading the majors in home runs, and he's second in RBIs in the American League. But my question is, I have a question about this. Cal Raleigh as a catcher, very very premium, very tough position, very physically demanding. If he hits 60 home runs as a catcher, regardless of what Aaron Judge does, do you think that Cal Raleigh is MVP?
No doubt about it. And I'll tell you why, just real quick. The best offensive season I can remember from a catcher is probably one of the best to ever do it was Mike Piazza in '97. He hit 362. Now that batting average is a little higher than Mr. Cal Raleigh, but he only hit 40 home runs. I say only 40, but he hit 40 home runs for a catcher. That's unreal, man. That is unreal. But
very
Mr. Raleigh is at 36, and we're not even at the All-Star break.
Oh, yeah.
I think just being a catcher and hitting, 36 home runs for the All-Star break, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I agree. But I think just depending on how Raleigh finishes the season, because Aaron Judge is going to be right there the whole time. But if Raleigh gets those numbers, I don't think you don't give him that. To me, Rookie of the Year, there's only one choice, and that's going to be Jacob Wilson if he continues to do what he's doing. He's leading the American League in batting average at 335. He's having a tremendous season. He's going to be the starting shortstop for the. I believe he might be this. He's going to be an All-Star as a rookie this year. Good bloodline. His dad Jack played for a long time. Kid's going to be a talented player. Cy Young's going to come down to it's basically, to me, it's a foregone conclusion already, provided he
Skubal.
stays where he's at. Tarek Skubal, it's going to be a shoe-in. He won it last year. He's 10-2. He's second in wins. He's second in ERA, second in the league in strikeouts, and his WHIP, which is it's minuscule at 0.81. He leads. Right now, Jacob deGrom is considered fourth or fifth. You know, he won't win, but he's had a tremendous season. Hopefully, he can stay healthy and maybe see what the Rangers do down the stretch. The NL MVP. Let's wrap this up, and it's been a good show. We'll get back into smart baseball talk next week. All right.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.